This Here is for Our Survival, an original poem by Jeffrey C. White. This here is for our survival, not the kind they put on display in textbooks or neatly packaged reports with graphs and metrics, but the kind you find in cracked knuckles and voices that know how to turn pain into song. This is for the ones who bend, who stretch, who break and come back together, for the hands that hold the weight of generations, the bodies that carry the burden of history, and the minds that build new worlds from the ashes of dreams deferred. This is for the streets that speak our names in whispers and in wails, for the mothers who make a home out of hope, and the fathers who stand tall like trees that will not be felled by wind or storm. This is for the children whose eyes see through the walls of fear, whose laughter cuts through the silence, reminding us what freedom feels like. This is for the fighters, for the healers, the storytellers, for the ones who dare to imagine something more even when the world says, this is enough. This here is for our survival. Not just the beating of hearts or the breathing in and out, but the survival of spirit, of truths, of love that does not shrink in the face of hatred or despair. This is for the ancestors who planted seeds in the soil of our being, for the dreams they watered with their sweat and tears, for the strength they wove into our bones. This is for the future we're building brick by stubborn brick, with hands that refuse to let go and voices that refuse to be silent. This here is for our survival, because sometimes just being is a radical act of resistance. Because sometimes the only way to live is to refuse to disappear.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, everybody, nobody, all at once. I'm just excited for the opportunity to be able to put all of this together. It's something that I've been planning in my heart, in my mind for a long time. It feels like forever. But to be able to be in this moment and use my voice, something that as an educator, I continue to encourage my students to always do. Speak your mind, speak your heart, create the things that you want to see so we can leave this world a better place than we found it. And so that's exactly why I wanted to create this. I wanted to be able to use my God-given ability to connect people to their higher self. I believe that humanity can cultivate our ultimate ideal once you loosen the shackles of the mind. Humanity's ideal is ultimate connection with the highest power, remembrance of the people of the past, and an unbreakable bond with the other. And so I wanted to use my gifts, my talents to do those things. And as a community, as we remedy the faults of the past, through knowledge and reconciliation, we connect ourselves with humanity, past, present, and future. A community through time, raising itself up. And I believe that the way that we do that is through our historical knowledge and through education. The things that we know and how we can build our community to build itself up. But what do I know? I'm just a teacher from Saskatchewan.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is your boy, it is your cousin, it is your best friend here. Wherever you are, whenever you're listening to this, I'm truly honored to be here with you, sharing this moment with my brother. This podcast is something that's been on our hearts and our minds for, it feels like forever. It was a seed planted by experiences, nurtured by reflection, and now finally come into life. For me, I hope to use this platform to share my voice, and using my voice is more than just speaking words. It's about creating spaces where truths can be shared, stories can be told, and connections can be forged. My hope is it's about breaking down barriers, those we inherit, those we create for ourselves, and those society imposes on us. so we can build a better tomorrow. Now, I hope you're ready for this, because throughout this episode and throughout this podcasting journey, one of my biggest inspirations of life is James Baldwin. So you're going to get sick of me talking about him, but I'm going to talk about him no matter what. So James Baldwin once said, "The interior life is a real life, and the intangible dreams of people have a tangible effect on the world." That quote resonates deeply because it affirms the power of imagination in shaping reality. For me, finding my voice began in those quiet moments of reflection, imagining what could be, even when the world around me seemed determined to show me that I couldn't. So Baldwin's words remind us that our thoughts, our dreams, and our unspoken truths are not trivial. They are the foundations upon which change is built. This podcast is a way to make those intangible dreams tangible, not just for myself, but for anyone listening who might feel unseen and or unheard.
My name is Christian Mbanza. I'm an educator in Regina, Saskatchewan. I'm a Black educator in Regina, Saskatchewan. A lot of people are probably thinking, how does a Black man end up in Saskatchewan? It's a long story. I'm originally from continent, Mother Africa, the birthplace of civilization, and I truly believe every single person should journey to the motherland and see and discover the birthplace, the center of humanity, because it truly does change your perspective. Fortunately for me, my family's origins are from Congo. I was born in South Africa, the birthplace of the greatest Black man to walk this earth, Nelson Mandela. He's someone who truly continues to inspire me because of the philosophy that he built, because of his belief system, and because of how much he cared for others. I strive to be that way. Nelson Mandela developed a philosophy that put others first. And I try to live by the ultimate philosophy of dying to yourself and serving to others. And I believe that the only way to do that is to examine your life. As I said, the unexamined life is not worth living. And it's not something that's easy to do. It's hard. But you have to be able to observe, analyze, and challenge your internal systemic beliefs. You have to be able to do so in order to leave the world better than you found it. Someone who continues to inspire me in doing so, his entire life, was Dr. Martin Luther King.
My name is Jeffrey White. I grew up in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, New York, a place full of life, culture, and resilience, but also one where survival felt like the first lesson you had to learn. My earliest memories are laced with the sounds of police sirens outside of my window, the hum of helicopters circling overhead, and the chaos of gang violence on the streets below. In a neighborhood where the line between struggle and survival was razor thin, it was easy to feel voiceless. However, James Baldwin, his words ring true. He once said, "It comes as a great shock to see that the flag to which you have pledged allegiance has not pledged allegiance to you." It hit me different as I reflect on those years. That flag, that promise of equity and protection, often felt like a distant dream, especially when brutality and systemic neglect were ever present in realities for me. Bed-Stuy also taught me resilience. It taught me to find beauty in the cracks, to draw strength from community, and to dream beyond the boundaries of what was immediately in front of me. But still, finding my voice didn't come naturally. Silence often felt safer. Keeping my head down and staying out of trouble seemed like the best way to navigate a world that often viewed me as their threat before it saw me as a person. Baldwin's assertion, you have to decide who you are and force the world to deal with you, not with its ideas of you, was a lesson I didn't fully embrace until later in life. But the seeds of that truth were planted during those formative years. In the face of sirens and struggle, I began to imagine a different reality. I found solace in writing, in music, and knowledge, and in the stories of others who had come before me. That's why I decided to become a Black male educator. These were the spaces where I could begin to define myself. Not as the world saw me, but as I saw myself finally. So Baldwin taught me that reclaiming your identity is both an act of defiance and an act of hope. And in doing so, I began to see my voice not just as a means of survival, but as a tool of transformation for myself, for my community, for this country, and soon the world.
It's always around this time of year that I start to reflect about the Holy Prophet Martin Luther King Jr. And in celebration of his life, I start to pore over his sermons and his speeches, and his strategies. And to me, he was the greatest leader of our generation. And the beginning of the Montgomery bus boycott proved that. Rosa Parks recently got hauled off to prison, and the movement needed a new leader. And in the wake of things, Martin Luther King took the role. But as time went on, the death threats began, the bomb threats, and the arrests. And of course, the phone calls, call off the boycott or die. And it's in this moment that Martin Luther King questions himself. Why is he in this movement? Matter of fact, his book, Towards Strive to Freedom, he openly speaks about his struggles to continue the movement. I was ready to give up. With my cup of coffee sitting untouched before me, I tried to think of a way to move out of the picture without appearing a coward. In this state of exhaustion, when my courage had all but gone, I decided to take my problem to God. With my head in my hands, I bowed over the kitchen table and prayed aloud. The words I spoke to God that midnight are still vivid in my memory. I'm here, taking a stand for what I believe is right, but I know I'm afraid. The people are looking to me for leadership, and if I stand before them without strength and courage, they too will falter. I am at the end of my powers. I have nothing left. I've come to the point where I can't face it alone. At that moment, I experienced the presence of the divine as I had never experienced God before. It seemed as though I could hear the quiet assurance of an inner voice saying, "Stand up for justice, stand up for truth, and God will be at your side forever." Almost at once, my fears began to go. My uncertainty disappeared. I was ready to face anything. And I believe that in our depths, in our despair, when we truly reach out to God for direction, for purpose, He will take you there and He will lead you. And so for me, I just want to be able to help others hear that voice of God and find the confidence within themselves to become the best version of themselves. And that reason is why I want to start this podcast. I want to be able to speak out and encourage others in the times that we're in, and not just speak out for, the things that are easy to talk about, but I really truly want to stand up and be the voice for the oppressed. Malcolm X said, truth is on the side of the oppressed. And as I take that stand forward, I believe using my voice and empowering others through this medium is my next step in the next journey. So for those of you who want to climb along on that journey, I don't know where it's going to take us. I don't know how far it's going to take us, shoot, this might be the last thing I do. But, I really want to put my best foot forward in 2025 and just encourage everybody to do the same. For me, it's using my voice and the things that I have within me and the knowledge that I have to encourage others and uplift others.
Baldwin also said, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced." The quote has stayed with me because it speaks to the courage required to find your voice. Facing yourself, your fears, your doubts, your complicity, and your own silence is perhaps the hardest battle to win, but it's also the most necessary one. And for me, this process of facing myself began in small, almost imperceptible ways. Writing late at night when the world felt quiet enough to listen, questioning narratives that didn't align with my experience, daring to imagine a reality where my voice can make a difference. Each small act of resistance became a step toward finding my voice. But finding my voice isn't just about speaking, it's about listening. It's about understanding that your voice exists within a larger conversation. Baldwin said, "Your crown has been bought and paid for you. All you have to do is put it on your head." That crown for me is the knowledge in my head and my voice. It represents the sacrifices of those who came before me and the ones who spoke even when it costed them everything. Wearing that crown is not just an act of pride, it's an act of responsibility. It's a reminder that my voice is not my own. So it doesn't only belong to me, but it belongs to my community, to the legacy I carry, and to the future I hope to build. And so this podcast is my way of honoring that legacy. It's a space to amplify not just my voice, but the voices of those who might feel silent. So Baldwin reminds us, the world changes according to the way people see it. And if you alter it, even by a millimeter, the way people look at reality, then you can change it. That's the power of our voice and the power of education. Not in its volume, but in its ability to shift perspectives, to challenge assumptions, and to create new possibilities. So for me, finding my voice has been a journey of unlearning silence and embracing the truths and silencing the isms and the bigotry and all the biases that were uploaded into my brain before I even knew how to speak. And as we kick off this journey together, Christian and I want to ask you the same question I've been asked myself. How did you find your voice? Or if you haven't yet, what's stopping you? Because once you do, you'll realize that your voice was never just for you. It's a gift to the world. So let's use our voices to shape a better future. Together, one conversation at a time. Now that's a wrap on our first episode. Thank you for listening. We appreciate you taking the time to be here, and we hope you'll keep on coming back for more. So this is a bi-weekly podcast, so mark your calendars. The next episode drops February 15th, same time, same place. Until then, take care and keep the conversation going. Speak to you all soon.